Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Old Golden Chat. As you can tell, my voice isn't very good because we was at the Wolves all weekend, and I still haven't recovered from watching Sheriff Shite, to be honest.
It's nice to know the positivity's carried on.
Tell me about it. So, yes, we're going to have a little discussion today about the Crystal Palace game. Maybe a little look at what Rob Edwards could potentially change up towards the Villa game. And we'll have a little bit of a game at the end, or shall we say we'll test the knowledge of both guests today. We've got Liam. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm right. Thanks, mate.
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm a bit full after just coming back from Merrill and going in the all-you-can-eat buffet, so I'm doing well. Reg, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm quite concerned at how close me and you look now, if I'm being very honest. It's like looking at a slightly bloated mirror from after that dinner, by the sounds of it.
Me and Reg are cousins, so hence the reason that we do look alike. We probably share no similarities when it comes to what we like in terms of our football team, so I'm sure it'll be a fun podcast nevertheless.
We're both bald with beards, so at some point someone's going to call us Tyson Fury, so we're about to just crack on, mate. It's all good.
Do you know what? He'd probably put more fight into the Wolves players at the minute, wouldn't he? So I'd take a bit of Tyson Fury. Crystal Palace the weekend, it was a 2-0 loss. Still not got 3 points on the board. Rob Edwards' first game, there was definitely a shift in tactics. There were a few positives. There were a lot of negatives. Let's deep dive into it, lads. What do you think?
I think positive for me is that we finally looked like we had a style. I don't say I'd agree with the style, but under Vitor and Gary O'Neill, I didn't know how he was looking at playing, but you could tell straight away that he was looking at just lumping it forwards to the target man, weren't he?
Yeah, I think he. Go on.
I think the issue you're going to have with Wolves at the minute is, and I think it's been the same issue under Pereira, and I don't think it was so much under O'Neill, because I think O'Neill was trying to use Tommy Doyle, but Wolves lack a playmaker. So there's no playmaker, is it, in the 10? There's no playmaker in the 6 sort of role, sort of thing. So I know Andre does his recycling, and I know that Joe Gomez is more of a box-to-box sort of playmaker, sort of box. They're both trying to do things, but if Joe Gomez could pass efficiently, he wouldn't be at Wolves in the first place. He'd be too good already. So I think the issue is there's still no one to play that long ball properly, if we're being honest. I like the idea of crashing the box, which is what I thought that we were trying to do, and I think that's why he played Manetzi. I'm not anti-Marshall Manetzi. I think he does a job, and I always have. I think we've had this argument previously offline. I think, and without delving into the world of Football Manager too much, I think he has got his own sort of role on there called the channel midfielder, where he's pressing, and he did a lot of the work for Strand Larsen last season. If you notice, when we were playing well, he was doing the running for Strand Larsen. And in games that you expect to dominate, you'll see more of, well, under Pereira, we would have seen more of Bellegarde, who I think carries the ball forward, which is something we've really lacked since Lamine left. I don't think we've got anyone that's driving with the ball per se anymore. So that was a problem. I actually don't think the game was horrifically bad for the majority of it. I think they were really unlucky with that first goal. So I sit just behind where that first goal went in. It's a fluke, you know what I mean? If they'd have scored one of the other 4 or 5 chances that they've had, it wouldn't have been a problem. I think for me, the issue comes back to players that are down in the team. I know that's something you want to talk about later, but what Totti Gomez has got on anybody at that club absolutely shocks me, because he's fucking shit, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I like Totti Gomez running forwards with the ball, but if you look at the goals that we concede, and you can go back to Bournemouth away this year, you can go back to lots of goals last year, he's got the same problem we used to have with Max Kilman. He marks nobody. He doesn't run with anybody. That's where the problems come from. I mean, you build from the back. And the one positive I will take out of Saturday's, Agpadu looked like he'd got a lot more sort of responsibility, not responsibility, so look, having been removed from that centre-back position into the right centre-back position, it almost looked like he'd been freed a bit more, sort of thing. And then I think the plan long-term will be for Chichua or another right-back from the various options that we've got to get further forwards, and you'll see him slide, so it's a fall and the players slide across, if you get what I'm saying. That, for me, might be more effective.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm actually glad you mentioned Max Kilman with regards to Totti Gomez, because there was something that I wanted to bring up a little bit about Totti Gomez, and him being the captain this year. He's not a captain. I mean, and the brutal honesty is, he's not a footballer. And this is a stereotypical Wolves thing to do. We give the captaincy to someone who, throughout all of his younger years of life, didn't play football. Well, he hasn't even been through a youth setup properly, like, it's Sunday league football, which is just the fundamental basics of normal football. And like when I say about Max Kilman, we did the same with him, but he was a bit more of a leader, just
So
not a leader.
I don't think he was. Kilman got the captaincy to keep him, so there was transfer interest in him that season, and that was all it ever was. It was a ploy to keep him. I'll be honest with you, I'd have carried him to Lazio myself. I thought he was crap from the moment when we got it, and I think I've said this to you. Like I am very much black and white. I'm sometimes right, I'm sometimes wrong. I'm always certain. Max Kilman had a good 6 months where Connor Cody talked him through it. And you could see, if you watch football, it's a different level. And I don't mean you just sit there and you just watch it. You look at how players interact. You look at how they communicate and stuff like that. The good games where Max Kilman played well for that 6 months. And I'll be honest with you, I don't date myself very often. I did then. I thought I'd got that one wrong. And it turns out long term I didn't. Was that Connor Cody was talking Max Kilman through it. He was on the right-hand side of the free. He had someone talking him through it. When you put him in that position to play football, now don't get me wrong, futsal's a great game. You see loads of really skillful kids at 7 and 8 and stuff like that, and they look really good players because they can do a few fancy skills and they can turn another player. But if they've not tactically got it, then they're not there. So, like for example, with me with Totti, the difference is, say, you give him the ball to run forward and he looks comfortable and he's okay, and I can sort of see why he masquerades as a left back. And you can play that because he can move forward with the ball, but you can't trust him to mark somebody when the play's getting hard. If you look, there was a chance where the ball come across from the left back position in front of the North Bank on Sunday, and that one of their players should have buried it. I think is it Sarr or something like that on number 7. I don't know who it is, and he missed the chance where realistically that should have been the first goal. He comes from Totti's side. What I don't understand with Wolves at the minute, if I'm being brutally honest, is why Totti Gomez is in that team. Because I got the feeling he got the captaincy for vibes. Like Pereira basically wanted out from the start of the season, and he was waiting to be paid off. He's libelous, but I personally was the opinion that there were decisions that were made that were questionable all the way through the season. And one of them is Totti Gomez. One of them is this leadership committee. We're captained by leaders. Having 4 captains doesn't work. You need a team of captains, but you have to have a captain.
Yeah, I agree. It's like the point I was trying to get across. That you set it up perfectly with Max Kilman. Although futsal is a good route into some form of football, Totti Gomez was a rugby player growing up. He said it himself in previous.
Did not know that.
He said his sport that he played when he was a kid was a rugby player. And how on earth does that correlate to being a Premier League captain? We're also talking about a man, and I don't want to shit on him too much, but like he was at Grasshoppers just a couple of years ago, and you're playing in the.
I mean that's one of them things. It's that's neither here nor there for me to a certain extent. I don't know what Liam thinks about this, but like you've seen other players come from other leagues and they do well, sort of thing. So Granit Xhaka is Swiss. He played in the Swiss leagues and he's done well over it. It's just for me, the comparison with him as a rugby player, because I didn't know that, and I played rugby myself, sort of thing. And someone behind me said the other day he's a linebacker. You look at the way he moves, because he nearly took someone out when he ran with the ball the other day, sort of thing. And he's got that physical build. Yes, he's the physical player, but you just can't rely on him to defend. You can't rely on the tactical side of the game, which I think you have to instill from a young age.
I think we'll carry on talking about Totti with regards to the actual game itself, Liam. Me and you were going absolutely crazy, weren't we, in that first half? I think it was the chance that Mateta had where the ball was coming over the top, coming long. And me and Liam picked it out straight away. I was watching him going absolutely crazy in the ground because he didn't even have his face towards the people who were running at him. He was running back to his own goal. He was trying to get instructions from his goalkeeper on what position to actually be in and what to do. And this is the problem that I have with him being a captain, because he's not even a footballer. And at a Premier League level, I will say, because he is a footballer. And there has been spells in his Wolves career where in me and Liam have said that he's had very good spells in a Wolves shirt. But again, that was in the back 5 when he was getting told what to do. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, that's what you say there. He was getting told what to do. Now he's captain. He needs to be organising that defence. If there's a player free in the box and someone's had a free header, it's on him to make sure that that don't happen again. He should know where all his back five, even where his centre mids are. But I don't think he knows where he needs to be himself, never mind having to tell other people where to be. I think he only started on Saturday for Rob Edwards' first game is because maybe he thinks he can't take out the captain. Coming in that first game, maybe that's one of the reasons why he's played him. But for me, he's just not good enough. Like probably the majority of the players, they're just not good enough. And
He'd
when you were
already been
talking
dropped,
about,
hadn't
you what, sorry?
he? He'd already been dropped once.
Yeah.
Like, Pereira dropped him. Pereira realised he wasn't good. No,
I just think it's that new manager. I think he's just came in and he's just put the captain back in, isn't he? I can't see him staying in the team if I'm being honest. But when you was talking about Menezes, I just thinking the way we set up, we just needed someone in that role who our players looked at creating something, and Menezes just wasn't that person. And I think
I don't think that's the idea. If I'm being very honest, and what I think with that team was, and I think that you're looking, especially when you've got that three at the back, and then you've got the two in front of him. So you've got Andre and João Gomez. I think the idea is the ball gets out wide really quick, and as I said, it becomes a back four with say if the right back goes, the right centre back covers in behind to cover there. If you look at his Luton teams as well, he made Alfie Doherty look like he could have gone to play for Liverpool or something like that. You get what I mean? Like, and he's now playing for Millwall. He's wing back dominant, so the back four, it becomes a back four with the wing back marauding. And then I think the idea is get the cross in, and Menezes will be there because he's decent in the air, regardless of whether or not people rate him technically as a footballer. And don't get me wrong, I thought that his game on Saturday was the worst game he had in actually quite a long time. As someone that actually doesn't mind what he does in terms of the working hard and the being the physical presence and setting the press, which I thought he did well. It was his passing again that let him down on.
But when he's pressing, that was giving Wharton a lot of space. When Menezes was pressing and going out there, the midfielders, he was just running things by himself. They was playing around him. And I think at times, all the good that he did, I'm not saying it was all his fault, but all the goods he did, there were times in the game where we just needed to settle down and someone needed to just rein him in. But if you're saying that about the wing backs, we just haven't got good enough wing backs to. I think Molineux probably put one good ball in to Arias in the second half, maybe one in the first half. If you're looking at your wing backs have to be able to put the ball in 8 or 9 times out of 10 where it's a decent enough for Larson and Tolu to attack, in my opinion.
So I think for me, it's more the wing backs. I think they've just got to get a ball in. None, you want a consistent quality ball in, obviously, but the ones that are going to deliver the consistent quality balls in at that level and also have the pace to get in behind probably aren't at Wolves, if we're being brutally honest. But what I would say is, with that, I think that's why he does pick Menezes as opposed to, because personally for me, it's Fer Lopez. You're just putting him in there and then you're seeing what happens. And because he needs that time to develop. And then hopefully if we somehow keep hold of him, sort of thing, which I think we probably will, because I don't think they're hiding him so we get to keep him for the championship. I don't know. But if you play Menezes there, because when the ball does crash in there, he's a physical presence that's trying to win the second ball. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think the idea would be that I don't understand why Chuchua doesn't want to go in behind her. I at first thought it was something Pereira has asked him not to do. But there were a couple of times when he did on Saturday, but it's not as much as I'd expect for someone that's supposedly that fast. But I think that comes down to the Adama Traore thing that we always used to think is, why don't we put balls in and balls in and balls in and balls in? Well, you don't see elite level sprinters running more than twice a night. So I suppose they've got to sort of mitigate that physicality of, you get what I'm trying to say? They can't just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, no matter how fit they are. They've got to moderate that pace. But I think that there's rumours he's going to be backed. I don't know how true that is, but
Who'd want to come in?
Somebody will always come in to play in the Premier League. Now it's £190 million loss for them if they go down. So the TV money goes from 200 to 10. You know what I mean? So I think there will be some money put at it, and I just don't know. You don't know who's going to come in, because you don't know how desperate the situation is going to be at the time. I think if you look at where we've been, I actually think Saturday was a better performance. I don't think it was a great performance. I think it was an improvement for when you consider that realistically he'd had most of the squad 2-3 days. Like, I think they were training Tuesday night, so you got to assume that they've done some work on Tuesday. Wednesday's usually the industry standard footballer's day off. they were probably in this week because they'd been away Thursday, and they're probably chilling on Friday. They're chilling, doing some tactical shape on Friday. Something. So at most he's had 4 free training sessions. You've got to give him another couple of weeks and to at least to see where
I do
he gets.
agree.
I like the 2 big men on together, if I'm being honest with you, but also we've got nothing off the bench. There's no.
I think
There's nothing to.
you can have 3 up there. I think the 2 big men, if they're in there, you need, like you say, a Lopez or a John Arias in there to have a bit of quality, a bit of a quality ball in there, and we just didn't have it in that. In the entire game, we just didn't have it. I don't think we caused Palace any problems at all, to be honest.
I mean, I suppose what we've got to assume as well is, and the problem is, it's a bit of Wolves arrogance, if you're being honest, because you used as a Wolves fan to be at least at the level of Crystal Palace, if not above. Palace are a bloody good side. Like they're doing what I didn't read. Like they're 4th now, or they were 4th after they beat us. Sorry, on 5 Live after the game on Saturday. Realistically, if you said it was Chelsea that were that team and they were 4th, not Palace, you go like, yeah, you probably lose that game anyway. You accept it because you take out the isolation of it being Palace, if you get what I'm saying. I think that if you look at the score on the game and the thing, so it was a lucky goal, and the second goal was a good hit, but we should never have got it out to him. I always remember Wang's done that twice now because he did it against Newcastle a couple of years ago when we took to lead, he took to lead away and stuff like that. I think in the games where Wang has played through the middle, he's been okay. That's where he was signed for. He's now, because he's relatively sort of quick, he gets pushed out onto the wing a lot. I don't think he's good enough to be on the wing. I don't really think he's good enough to be a striker, but I'd rather see him through there more.
I think that's the problem with Wang, though, because realistically, when Rob Edwards is going to be looking to his bench up until January, he doesn't have another striker who can come on. And if he's going to play 2 up front, one of them's going to come off in every game. We can have as many people as we want talk about saying that they don't want to see Hwang in a Wolves team ever again. And I'm not my biggest fan myself. I've said it multiple times. But unfortunately, he's probably going to be the first substitute in most games, whether we like it or not, until January, because we don't have another option. Face Mane probably isn't at the right standard to be a Premier League striker, maybe off the left or as a number 10. I'd be quite happy to see Mane all day, but he won't be coming on as a striker. Fletcher Holman didn't exactly have a great loan spell, so he's not going to be coming on as a striker. So unfortunately, that is our problem. Our squad depth with actual quality is just not good enough. And go back to the game itself, like when we're talking about that, the first goal, I completely agree with what Luke was saying. Quite simply, when you look out and when you're down there, things are going to go against you. They always are. And from the corner, don't get me wrong, I think we have to pick up the short corners a lot quicker. That's something we've been so naive about this year. The Premier League has changed so much that everybody, look at Arsenal. Arsenal is scoring more goals from corners than what we've done in a whole Premier League season. And that's just the way that the Premier League has changed this year to do with set pieces. We have to be quicker and react quicker to set piece situations, which is something that we're not doing. But then your luck's almost out, because as soon as Adam Wharton has that shot, you know it's gonna bounce anywhere, and when your luck's not in it, it's gonna fall to the feet of a Palace player who's just gonna hit it out with no keeper in the net.
How do we have all the players in the box out defending and Adam Wharton? They've got that much space on the edge of the box. We had no outlets. For me, you need someone at least up there on the corner just to offer that threat of a counter. Their keeper's on the halfway line playing a 1-2 with the centre half.
I think the issue is I think people are that scared when it comes to set pieces sort of thing, because they're now that effective, if you get what I'm saying, because they can be that effective. People are trying to crash the box in the reverse sort of things. They're trying to stop the space, or because they're zonal, they're giving that many people that thing. I've always said, and I know Adama and Ruben Neves are in this team no more, but if it was me back in the day, I would have always left Ruben Neves on the edge because he was the best pinger of the ball I've ever seen. Put Adama on literally just inside the halfway line, because if you win the ball, all you got to do then, you're automatically keeping 2 or 3 players back because they're shit in it, because they don't want to be caught on the break themselves. So I think you invite a lot of pressure by. I understand the logic of it. I don't like it. You invite a lot of pressure by going in that zonal sort of thing, and I'd rather, even if you're going to send everyone back, you go man marking, because you go, that man is mine. That is my responsibility. You allow people the need to make a decision when you go zonal, and I don't think it works. And I mean, if you've got a world-class set-piece coach, then maybe it does, but we don't have a world-class set-piece coach. We haven't got Austin McPhee at Villa or the fella at Liverpool or the fella at Arsenal, you know what I mean? We don't have that.
I think this is the thing that like, me and Liam both did it as well to our mate Craig at half time. The amount of times that we were under pressure from Palace, why did we not have an outlet? It's quite simply what we say. Like Jackson Tachua is not a very good footballer, but what he is fast. The same way as, let's be brutally honest, when we had Adama Traore, he always had to get triggered by Nuno to know when to run. So when it comes to a corner, why do we not leave Jackson Tachua further up the pitch? And then that would mean that Palace would probably have to leave one person back just in case. Because he...
I think the only reason why he couldn't do that is because if they ever got the ball, we're out of shape then, aren't we? Like that back five, they're out of shape.
So that works if he's the winger. That doesn't work if he's the right back.
Well,
you know,
that's
like,
the issue with having Menezes, Larson and Tolu up there. There's all them three are going to come back in for the height. Again, if you had a Lopez or an Arias in there, one of them could do that role, couldn't they? But I see what you're saying with his pace. You needed someone up there with the pace just to try and stretch them.
But this is what I'm saying as well, because like Luke says, obviously, usually that would be a winger. But in terms of the way like we're playing now, we don't have a winger. So technically, he's our winger. And for as poor as a season that he's had, I don't think Agbadu had the worst game on Saturday. And I think he would slide right and cover that role with Andre, maybe sitting in the centre if he had to for that transition of play. But all I'm saying is from literally from a corner, per se, if you left someone further upfield and give yourself some form of an outlet, that is something that I would be more open to, because every single corner and every single set piece that we had, every man was back. And especially that first half. And we could talk a month for Sundays about it. That first half, as good as it felt going in with a clean sheet at that time, most of that half was spent us kicking the ball away and having pressure straight back on us from whether that be crosses, whether that be corners, whether that be any type of set pieces. We didn't offer enough to be able to have our own counter-attacks, which is what the five at the back is for. It is a counter-attacking style for me.
And I think that comes with time, if I'm being brutally honest with you.
It will.
The out pass and the understanding of where Tolu's going to be on that. The one thing I would say is, I'm at the other end. I sit in the North Bank. We don't stand. We're not that party reliable sort of thing. We sit and we enjoy the nice seats and the concourse and that extra bit of leg room and stuff like that. Tolu, I thought was great. I thought was great defensively on set pieces as well. He won a lot of headers, and it's a very British footballer thing to do. And I know he's a British, but what you'll notice is there's a lot, and I said it at least twice on Saturdays. Who's he heading it to? I don't mean Tolu. I can't remember the specific examples of players, but if you look back, there's a lot of times where we won the ball, and you'd almost rather say, I'd rather they lost it because they kept it and tried to play a pass, or they tried something, rather than just boosting it and losing it anyway. If you go and saying, like, there's not a lot of sense and sensibility yet on knowing where certain players are going to be. Now, I'll be honest with you, we talked about the squad depth, and I know you've said this already, sort of thing. I think I did a comparison a couple of weeks ago, and it was before Nuno had got West Ham on his little run, sort of thing. If you look at the actual 11s, there's only 3 players in the West Ham team I would pick over the Wolves team, which were Paqueta, Van der Saka, and Jared Bowen. I think other than that, I think relative sort of squad things, I don't think we're horrifically bad with the first 11, if you get what I'm saying. I think if you look at Cretu, I think who has been probably the best signing of the ones that we made in the summer. I think Fer Lopez has got a lot of potential, but we'll come back to that. Your left backs, I still felt that we would probably just about scrape. In the right back situation, I think Van der Saka is a very good right back. I think Kyle Walker-Peters would probably take over the ones we've got at the minute as well. Whoever had a good game. Well, what I seem to remember was one of Pereira's last home games. Whoever had a decent game, and I actually thought that he would have suited the style of football that Edwards wanted to play, sort of thing, because he was a bit more progressive. He was making some passes and he was doing X, Y, Z. But if you look at the centre-backs, I don't think they're particularly great at centre-back. The midfield, I do genuinely think Andre's a really good player. I think Joe Gomez is a brilliant player. I think he's lacking a pass, if I'm being honest with you. But other than that, I think the way he turns out the corners and stuff like that, he does really well. We're missing that winger, which we're not going to play anymore, because I think he is going to just get that thing. But I don't think the squad's horrifically bad. I still, in some sick, twisted part of my mind, think we're going to get out of this. Saturday didn't contribute to that, if I'm being brutally honest, because we took a team that have played really well for about 12 months. Don't forget, I know they sing the song about being 12th again, who gives whatever, and they've won the cup. But they won the cup. They beat Man City. They're not a bad team. You've got to look at this in isolation. You've got to say this. The Rob Edwards era started with a hard team. Now Villa are in form as well, so we usually do all right against Villa. Weirdly, sort of thing.
Oh,
So you
why?
can't have to.
Always tend to do quite well.
We have to take that in isolation as well, sort of thing. Because I don't think we're going to beat Villa. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I think it's probably a bit too soon. Who's the game after that? Because that's completely slipped my mind. But have we got
The
one?
Man United today.
So Forest are playing all right at the minute. Obviously, they've beat Liverpool, I think, but it's a team that's there or thereabouts as well. And they're probably going to play a similar style of football to what we're playing at the minute. Three at the back might help us in that game. You don't know. But for me, all isn't lost yet. I'd have felt more comfortable if we'd have had the same start as we had last year, where we'd played all the good teams and then we were in this situation, which is what I think helped. Whereas I think the fact that we've already played Burnley and Leeds and not won those games hurts us a little bit. But we'll see moving forwards.
You said that, but then the subs come on, and you got Chan and Dalgard just jogging back, and you've just come on. I'll give up with them two. I just don't see her there anywhere near. I know we probably haven't got much options, but they're just coming on the pitch, and it was like going down to 9 men, and then they're going to a World Cup at the end of the season, potentially. I know Bellegarde's going there. I just don't get how some of them players, we could be bottom of the league, lower points than Derby, and they get to go to a World Cup. Football's just madness.
It is.
I'm going to completely disagree with you on Bellegarde, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I think that Bellegarde, like this is the things. You have teams for games you expect to win, and teams you expect to struggle with, if you get what I'm saying. I think in a game where, for example, you expect to dominate the ball. So let's say the Burnley game. Let's go back to that. Bellegarde is a better pick because he's progressive. No, he's had his moments, but if you look at the games where we played really well last season, Bellegarde was in the team every game. When we won the 6, I think he was in the teams because he progressed. We played better without Cunha last season, and anyone that says that we didn't is full of shit. Now, I don't know Cunha was a really good player, and I think he's absolutely fantastic player, but he was temperamental, he was selfish. Bellegarde was more of a team player. The games where he was suspended because he was being petulant, and Bellegarde came in, we played better football. The team was confident. Now, is he one of those sort of players where he needs people making the passes to him because they believe in him, or we need him making the passes because he believes in himself a bit more in that game? Possibly. But the games where we expect to dominate possession, I would want Bellegarde playing based on the squad that we've got at the moment. I'm not saying I think he's the best player in the world, but I think he does a job in the squad that we've got.
You're our guest. Me and Liam have already had this discussion before. What we struggle to see with Bellegarde, and I absolutely agree with what you were saying in terms of in certain game scenarios, I do think that Bellegarde, we even said it ourselves, didn't we, Liam, before the actual game on Saturday, where he's very good with his ball at the feet. You don't see him lose the ball that often with his ball at the feet, and he does at least try and drive us forward, which is something that we critically miss all the time. But what would you actually say is his position? Because he kind of falls under that same sort of bracket as like Dangerous Dave at some point, where he could play as a centre mid, he could play as a winger, he could play as a 10. We don't know ourselves where we think Bellegarde fits in, because is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a 10?
I think he's a free role. If I remember, I think he's the link. He will drive a team up. I think you can put the beauty of him is like, I say the beauty of him, it is hard to nail down. You get what I mean? Like for me, you want that base of the 2 decent players. Now, I'll be honest with you, the first thing I would be doing if it was me now is recalling Tommy Doyle. Because that's to play the way that he wants to play, you need someone to take the ball from the back, pass it out to the wingers. Now, I like Andre, but I don't think you don't see him play many long passes. Most of his passes are under 10 metres. And then we recycle and then we go. And it's 10 metres and 10 metres. You need someone with him that makes those passes to spread the teams and to spread people up longer, especially with the lack of quality that we have got at fullback. It's not like you can take it and they can then go. So for me, with Bellegarde, I think he's the 10, or he's the attacking midfielder, shall we say, for games where you expect to control the ball. You don't necessarily need Minetti there in that game. I think that I would rather almost have Menezzi there, you know, like the box sort of thing. So instead of having a 2 and a 1, you have a 2 and a 2, where you have Bellegarde pulls to one side and Menezzi makes the runs off him, or he's leading the press alongside a striker. If you're going to have those two up there, I think the issue is, and I think I actually quite like them both as. I like Tolu as the big aggressive striker and the footballer sort of thing, and I think Strand Larsen's going to play more of a deep line thing behind him, which when he can drive with the ball, you see the goal he scored for Norway, he can get his shots off, he plays what he scores, he hits balls well. I think that'll suit him a little bit more. They need to press. And in my own coaching that I do with a kids football team and stuff like that, the press is such an important thing, because you can, obviously the closer you win the ball to the opposition's goal, the more chances you're going to get. So I think that what we're lacking at the minute is a press. I don't think that any of the players in the team are out and out pressers sort of thing. And I think that, I know there's a lot of hate for Arias sort of thing, and especially because I think there's probably been an interview that was misinterpreted last week sort of thing, where, oh, he's disappointed with the transfer. No, he's probably just saying things haven't gone as well as he'd hoped, and he's not as like jumping for joy at that fact. I'd like to see Arias get a run as well, sort of thing, at some point. But on the, you've got to work hard. And I think the Rob Edwards thing, if you listen to the things that he said in his interviews and his stuff like that, he wants to work in hard. I think Strand Larsen hasn't really worked hard this year, or as hard as I would like to have seen, and I don't think he did on Saturday either, which concerns me. That was my concern. I was hoping for more from Strand on Saturday.
What do you think about Strand Larsen, Liam? I know he's a bit controversial online at the minute. So what do you think about him?
I think he can be hit and miss, can't he? I think, but you're looking at a striker, regardless of what team you're in, regardless if you're on form or in Europe, top 4, bottom 3, you need your striker like Larsen and Tonu. They need the chances in the box, don't they? And they're just not going, and the quality is not there. Imagine if you're Larsen and Menezzi's behind you, and the Menezzi's the one picking up the ball. Why are you going to make you run? He ain't going to give you the ball to where you want it. You know, when Wolf and Tuchel got that ball out wide, if the service is better, that's when I think you can question Tolu and Larsen. But I think his older player needs to do better at times. I don't know. I don't think he knows when he's flicking it on or when he's holding it up. But he's not going to know where Tolu is when he hasn't played alongside him. Do you know what I mean? So for me, again, all that spark comes from having a creative player on that pitch, and number 10, a Lopez or an Arias, because then you can work off. Andre and Gomez will know who they're giving the ball to. Also knows when to make his movements, because he knows when that number 10 is giving that ball to feed him. But I think he's hitting. I'd have took 60 million for him now. But again, at that moment in time, we wouldn't have took that 60 million because we couldn't have trusted the board to get a replacement in that's good enough.
Do you know the issue with Wolves? I'm going to be very honest with you. Fer Lopez had a good game, or he had the aspects of a good game against Leeds. And because he misplaced a couple of passes, in trying to play risky passes to give strikers things, the fans got on his back. And that's the problem with Wolves fans, right? A lot of Wolves fans think they know football, and they think they know what. And I'm going to sound arrogant here, and I'm going to say thinking to say this now. The problem you've got is there's a lot of people that think because a pass wasn't completed that it was the wrong pass. It's not always down to the passer to make the perfect pass. You've got to react to it. If you look back to the Leeds game, sort of thing, he plays the pass, I believe, to Krejci that allows Krejci to score.
It was because he passed into Tolu, got it back.
Yeah, or something like that. But I remember at the time thinking, Fer Lopez creates that goal.
Yeah.
Now, but what the problem was, he also in that half, because he got hooked at half time, I believe, in that game. Yeah. He misplaced some passes. You kill the kid's confidence. You've got to just let him go. You've got, with a maverick sort of player like that, a 10, whatever it is, you've got to accept that if they make one pass in a game that creates a goal, they've done their job. Now, ideally, you want complete passes all the time, especially in a possession-based system, but Wolves aren't playing a possession-based system. You've got to accept that they're going to play. You want them to play risky passes on the off chance that they come off. That's the issue. The Wolves fans turned on him that day, and I'll tell you what, there's a bloke that sits 2 rows behind me, and I think he's an absolute idiot, sort of thing. And I judge him as the barometer of what certain people are thinking, and that was it. As soon as he misplaces a pass, oh shit, oh he's this 25 million this, that, never. And some people just don't know what they're watching. It's like, and I say this. Sorry, but
I'll totally agree with you, but I love Lopez. I think he needs to play. I like that style of player. I haven't seen much of him, but I like that style of player. I think the fans on that game got a bit annoyed when he had I think there was 2 moments in the game when he had the ball in that first half, and he just stood still, didn't he? And And I get it because for me personally, when winning the game, you need to try and control it, and I think that's what he was trying to do. But I think because the crowd is that irate
because they're British football fans. It's like what you'll always see. I tell you guarantee this now. You watch the game on Saturday or Sunday, and it either be the Villa fans or with the Wolves fans. If they go, your player goes in for a thundering header. And I mean, the secret footballer says this as well. This is where I actually first picked this up. And what you watch for the British players is they want to win the header. They don't want to win. They want to win the pass. They don't want to head the ball and pass to somebody. They want to win the header because they want to be seen to make it a positive action. And because we traditionally play blood and guts Brexit football and stuff like that, as people tend to call it. That's what people expect to see, and you're not going to get that from Fer Lopez because he's been here 2 months. He will stand still and he will wait for someone to make the run for him, and you'll wait for him to make. He will wait for them to make the run, so he can make the pass. Do you know what I'm saying? And but we need to understand what we want to watch, sort of thing. Now, I want to watch that level of footballer, sort of thing, because I think he could potentially be brilliant, and I really do think that we'll struggle to keep him in July, sort of thing, come the transfer window, because I think if we get in, I think someone will take a punt on him and we'll just try and recoup the money that we've paid. He's got the potential to be a really good footballer, but you've got to get off their backs when they're trying to do X, Y, and Z. You don't want to hear a groan because they've tried to make a pass.
I think he does get the Pablo Sarabia treatment. I agree with that because me and Liam have called it loads of times. Like Pablo Sarabia was the one who last season he got an half decent return. Come the end of the season, where he actually got a string of games where he was the first sub coming on every time. I agree with what he's saying. With Fer Lopez, he's that maverick, he's that creative outlet that we do need. I think what Liam was referring to with the Leeds game was there was a couple of occasions where he didn't just stand on the ball. He stood. He was waiting for movement, which I completely understand. But it was the fact that he kept coming backwards in that game was the problem. Part of that is Fer Lopez because we all want him to turn and drive because we know, we can see it from the stands how much potential he has as a football player, as a Premier League player, because I think he's very, very decent. The word maverick that you chose to use was the perfect way that I would describe Fer Lopez. But I also agree to the sentiment that he needs to be given the game time. But what he cannot do when he does come on is he needs to try and dictate play and dictate games, but he needs to just eradicate these small little errors, like when we played Chelsea in the Cup and he dropped deeper than absolutely anybody to receive the ball and then they scored their third goal. That's kind of stuff would have to be eradicated out of his game. But I'll caveat that in saying this is now Rob Edwards' era, and this is how him and his coaching staff are going to have to try and...
I don't think he fits into Rob Edwards' team. You got to assume that Rob Edwards can adapt, if you get what I'm saying, and I hope he can. But if you look at I haven't watched a lot of Middlesbrough this year. I ain't going to pretend I watch a load of Championship football. Let's look back at the Luton team that did well in the Premier League. Ross Barkley, it's a 6 sort of thing. They're on a lot of 10. So if Fer Lopez is going to be there, we're going to have to see how that sort of press comes from it. Because as I said, I wasn't expecting Simonetti in that team on Saturday. And I know a lot of Wolves fans are making jokes about when Pereira left that Minetti was done. I don't think he's because I do think that people will, like managers, want that press. But Lopez has the physicality as well. I know he's a bit of a string bean sort of thing in terms of being quite a tall player, but also being quite thin. But if he can work on that, I don't see there's a reason not to, but I don't know we're going to see a lot of him unless it is as a first sub sort of thing. Like I would have hoped to have seen him on Saturday, but I don't. I think we'd accepted we were going to lose the possession back. So I don't know what the possession was on Saturday. I actually think it was closer than I thought it was.
I can get the stats up here. So yeah, we got the stats up here. I mean, this is the last we're going to talk about the Palace game because I think we could genuinely make a podcast on its own about the Palace game and the way that we set up. But in terms of the way that Rob Edwards spoke after the game, I was quite annoyed when he was talking about if you probably look at the stats, we probably wasn't too far off. And actually, we wasn't great, but this is where stats can kind of misconstrue football sometimes, I think, a little bit, because obviously the main things that you want is expected goals, shots on target, big chances, whatever, you know what I mean, and tackles and interceptions. But when it comes to the actual game, he's probably not too far off. Palace were not as good as what Palace can be. I think that's the disappointing thing.
I'll be honest, I wasn't majorly impressed with Palace. I know that
There wasn't.
like Mateta got hooked. I don't think Mateta had a particularly good game. I think that the centre backs generally managed him. And I do wonder if that's why he picked Totti, for me, being brutally honest, because if you look at either side of Krejci, Agbadou could handle him physically and Totti could handle him physically. If you notice, the problems came when Eddie Nketiah come on, who's a quicker quicker centre forwards. That's when they started to look a bit more lively. For me, in terms of the actual chances created, they had a number of half chances that I think were better chances than the first goal they scored. To be honest, I was that angry after the second one. I've blocked it out mentally, other than knowing that Wang had given the ball away. And as soon as he did that, you knew they were going to score. It was just one of them sod's law sort of things. So I don't think that Palace were a significantly better team than Wolves, which is what I was saying to you earlier in terms of I don't think we're completely out of it yet. And I do think there is a possibility that we might, if we could sneak a run, we could then close the gap down towards the teams that we were really lucky yesterday that Villa beat Leeds. If you get what I'm saying, because if those sort of teams start picking those games up, that's when we really are in the shit. If you get what I'm saying, that's when we really are in trouble, because we're not going to be able to close them sort of games down if they're picking points up in them games as well. So for me, it wasn't horrific. You get what I'm saying? There were points to take where we need to improve. We need to do things differently. Do I think there are players that we need to get rid of? Yes. Do I think there are areas that we need to improve? Yes. But is it beyond repair? No. Are we preparing for next season by appointing Rob Edwards? Probably.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you never know. He's a highly regarded coach.
Yeah. No, Liam, we've got the stats up there. Obviously, we was quite disappointed after the game. Do you have any thoughts on Rob Edwards' comments after the game, where he was talking about the fact that we the stats probably outlined roughly similar, and looking at it, they're not that far apart. He probably is right in what he's saying. But in an actual terms of a gameplay, whilst we was there, it did feel like we were probably only the better team for about, for me, 35 minutes of the game, I would say.
I think we started the second half quite better than I think we started the first half for the entire half, to be honest. Chu was finally running in behind. Manetzi looked like he was actually trying to drive forward. We looked like we was trying to do something. I think the goal come at the wrong time. I don't think the substitutes helped, because I don't think Channel Bell got offered anything. I don't know what Chan's doing there. Like, I'd rather him just try and run down the line or hook it away. Why are you making that pass there? You just killed the game. I think Adam Morton had it way too easy. He pulled strings and we just could not get near to him. And yeah, I know Palace are in Europe and they're a really good team. But
I think if you look at this like a boxing match, it's a fight we lost on points, but we lost heavily. Sort of, you lose 10 rounds to 2, if you get what I'm saying. Like, what I would say is as well, Adam Wharton's a very good footballer. He's one of the few footballers I've ever gone and I've actually
enjoyed watching when he was.
I'll be honest with you, I'm of an age now where I've got kids. I can't sit there and watch every single football game anymore. Like, if I want to find out about a footballer, I have to actively look into him to a certain extent. He's one of the few footballers in the last years I've gone, where is he? Who is he? Where's he come from? Sort of thing. And it turns out I remember that he had signed from Blackburn and stuff like that. But Adam Wharton will be an England international in the next couple of years, sort of thing, regularly. He's a very, very good footballer. And the best way I can describe that is in comparison to some of the players that we've got. When they were attacking the South Bank, which was obviously the first half, thinking about it, the one where Mateta missed the easy chance, if you get what I'm saying, he went to the right-hand side of the post, came from a little flick that not from Wharton, that not many players are playing, sort of thing. I think that Wharton is a technically very good footballer. I do think that Palace are going to be in that 8th to 12th bracket, potentially 6th to 12th bracket by the end of the year, sort of thing. You don't take anything away from them. I don't think they were brilliant on Saturday. I think we nullified a lot of what they were trying to do with the way we were set up. But I thought Agbadou had a good game. I thought Krejci was generally decent as well. Look, I don't rate Totti. Like, he did a couple of things well where I wanted him to drive, but also I think he lost players for the goals. And backs did okay. In terms of, I just want to see Stewart bomb, if I'm being brutally honest. I think that you get on that side and you hope that Molineux gets it. I think that with what he wanted to do, I think that Bueno is probably a better choice, because I think he's just a bit more attacking. I don't know how you two feel about that. I think they're a toss-up between which of the two you want.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, for the left backs, for me, you can pick either. I know Molineux hasn't started the season very well, but it's a toss-up for me because I've watched Molineux from back in his Ours at Dartmoor days, and I know what he can bring to the team. So it's a toss-up for me. I don't necessarily mind. What I will say about the Chachua thing, I wanted both your opinions on this. Is he going to be this player where we're going to have a manager who has to tell him when to go? And we're going to have the same sort of situation as what we did with Adama Traore. Is he too fast for his own footballing brain? Because there was a second half, for the first 10 minutes of the second half, it looked like he kind of, Rob Edwards had a word, and he was having to make those runs that Agba do when he was trying to slip the balls through to him on the right. In his overall Wolves career that we've seen so far, we've got a player here who I don't necessarily mind him defensively, but going forward, which is what we're going to need him to do now, are we going to have him? Are we going to have a coach standing on the opposite side of the field to tell him when to go?
No, they're not, because they can't do that. And what I would say in relation to that is, no, I don't think he's too quick for his brain sort of thing. I think there is a footballer in there, and if you look at the things he has, you say defensively, that pace really helps him. I think it's a confidence thing. A lot of the things because I don't know what Pereira was saying to him, but I felt you saw more attacking runs on Saturday than we ever saw under Pereira. I felt like Pereira was very much try and keep back because we're trying to settle. If you get what I'm saying, whereas I think that he was given a little bit more freedom. I think that it'll come from the next 2 to 3 to 4 games where you will actually see what. Is this just the player that he is? Is this something that needs to come to confidence? Is this something that was the way he was coached sort of thing? Is this how he's just going to be sort of thing that he hasn't got the thing? Because when he does get behind a player, I don't think his delivery is horrifically bad. I think he's put in a couple of good crosses. Like I can think of a few good crosses he has put in, if you get what I'm saying. So like I don't think at the moment we've seen the best of him. I don't think we've seen the best of any of them, if we're being brutally honest, and you've just got to hope that at some point we do.
Go on, Liam.
Well,
You're itching to get out.
number one, how many times he did a foul with his 1 foot in the air? So that just shows me his level of skills, what he knows about football. That was absolutely horrendous. His 1 foot was in the air on every throw-in. And in that first half, he'd want the ball on the byline to pass back. I don't understand what was going through his mind. I just don't think he's good enough. He hasn't played much. I don't know why we're signing for players like this who haven't played football. We've signed another player that's come into the Premier League that hasn't played football, and the appearance is to learn how to play football. He didn't play many games in Italy, so he's coming in now as our main number one right back now. I think Rob Edwards has got a tough ask, on to get him into the games.
I think it is hard. I agree with what you're saying because you know what, you've got him or Keanu Hoover, and neither of them are of Premier League quality, are they? Especially not when they're going to be our attacking output, and that is something that we've got to get used to because when we've got two of the, I will repeatedly keep saying it, our two central midfielders, despite probably for me sometimes being a bit too similar, when they get their heads up and look a void to what options we've actually got, Chachua was quite obviously being instructed to stand on the halfway line on Saturday because he's going to be one of the creative outputs that we're going to need to go forward. And he was standing on the halfway line. They was trying to urge him to run to make a pass. He was just looking at us as if to say, if I make that run, who's covering for me? And he can't. I get what Luke's saying as well. That's a confidence thing. But you've got to put yourself out there. And you can't be classed as a Premier League footballer if you don't go and challenge it.
I think the problem you've got is, let's be honest, I've just Wikipedia'd him sort of thing and had a quick look. I didn't realise he was 24, which says more about me sort of thing. I thought he was... Bellegarde's older than I always think he is, you get what I mean, sort of thing. But it was the other way for me. I thought Stu was a little older. If you look at it now, and obviously this is Wikipedia, so it could be wrong, so don't shoot me for it. But he has played approximately 100 games. So if you say 60 for Charleroi, 62, so no, it's 130, 62 for Hellas in both a loan and a permanent deal, and then you've got 11 that he's playing now for Wolves. He's still learning, you know. But the problem is, like I always say, I call back to Football Manager like you would believe. I know Liam's not in there, sort of thing. But I always say, it doesn't matter if they've got 5 stars if they're 24 and they're at 2. If you get them sort of thing, like they're already past that point of getting there. He was 5th choice right back for people that we wanted to sign, from what I can remember. So there was one Lou Sanchez, there was is it Mark Poobel sort of thing or something like that? I know there was another one or two, can't remember who it was, but you know what I'm getting at. He was never the first choice sort of thing, and he was everything. I would actually, based on the game where Hueva played quite well, would rather see Hueva have a bit of a run, if I'm being honest. So he came with an incredible pedigree. He was at Ajax, I believe, or he was at one of the Dutch clubs. Then he obviously went to Liverpool, made a really early debut against us in the Cup. And then he was seen as a coup when we signed him, sort of thing, if you get what I'm saying. Even Doc, don't be surprised now in 2 or 3 weeks, as much as I don't think Doc's got the legs for it anymore, and that might be blasphemous to some people. Don't be surprised to see Doc to get a game at right back, because he can actually, when he was playing well for us as a right back, he did what I think Rob Edwards will want his wing backs to do now.
I think you'll be probably shocked to hear. I think we probably agree that we'd probably like to see Doc at right back, because me and Liam was discussing this when we were playing him at right centre back at the start of the season. He was still making these marauding runs up the pitch. And I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I want Matt Doherty for the rest of our Premier League season to be our right back. I'm saying until January, I wouldn't have an issue with him playing at right wing back, because I would much rather see Doc trying to bust a gut, trying to get towards the edge of the box when David Molineux absolutely smashes one, or Hugo Bueno smashes one, and it's so far over the striker's heads. I would prefer to see Matt Doherty at that right stick rather than Thatcher at the minute.
I agree, to be honest with you. I don't think Tuchel or Hoover at the moment are good enough, and if we want to get out this mess, that when Doherty is fit, if he's fit straight away, I'd put him in. Same as Rodrigo Gomez. I think he's way better as well. It's unfortunate that both of them are injured.
Yeah,
I hadn't considered Gomez. I think that could be the golden bullet. If we're being on, that could be the answer, because I wouldn't say I forgot about him. I think he's brilliant, and I absolutely love Rodrigo Gomez. I'd do a lot to see him playing at the minute, but I think he will aid that sort of creativity as well. So, because if you look at the goals he scored from left back, the goals he scored from right back, he will aid that. I think he actually, I'll put my colours to the mast now. He's got to start at right back moving forwards, because he brings the best of Chichu with a pace, but he's got that attacking sort of verve. Like, I think you would have rather seen him as a winger sort of thing, but with the wing back system that we're playing, that's it sort of thing. Hopefully, that's the plan.
I think we're all in agreement with that. I think Liam's hit the nail on the head. I think,
mate, we don't agree. You can't keep agreeing.
We can't keep agreeing. We're meant to hate each other. What's going on? No, I think Liam's hit the nail on the head. I think Rodrigo Gomez, our little star boy, the man that Wolves fans have clamoured for the last couple of years, last year. I think he could be the missing puzzle piece to making Rob Edwards' formation a bit more fluid. Let's.
There is one thing I want to touch on finally from the game on Saturday that I'd completely forgot about, because I know Jeff Shea occasionally watches podcasts and stuff like that. Thank Christ they put. If he's watching this, he's already deep. But thank Christ they put Hi Ho back before kickoff, because don't get me, honestly, I don't know why we're trying to mess with the identity. And I think that, I don't want to say that's half the problem, because you can't. And don't get me wrong, Those Are the Days is a great Wolf song, and I love it. But it was too fast compared to the version that they sing in the stands anyway, sort of thing. It never worked, sort of thing. So, and Fields of Gold was a bit morbid, if you're asking me, sort of thing. I love the tribute we did for Diogo. I cried. It meant it was a weird one for me. I was in sobs on that day. But then a week later, it's just bringing that negative, not that sad feeling back, sort of thing. The fact that they've gone back to Hi-Ho Silver Lining, the crowd cheered on Saturday that they played. It was an actual cheer, I was so happy, because I think that set the tone as well. I think that you are going to the Molineux atmosphere has been a bit of a myth since COVID, sort of thing. I don't think it's really been there. I think actually the worse we play, the better the atmosphere will get, to a certain extent, especially with the things, because I think the fans will just go, we're just going to have fun. So let's see where we go.
Final question just on that, because I think we're all in the camp that we agree that Those Were the Days just wasn't working. Liam, I'll give you two options. Would you rather Hi-Ho Silver Lining or The Liquidator? Luke, as a dad who takes his kid into the ground, is it really that bad to play The Liquidator? Or?
No, it's not, but it's just not been done for a while. I'll be honest, you play one, then play the next one for me. You're playing both, and I'm quite happy with that. But I am of the opinion that I don't really like singing about them. You know, like I like the Liquidators sort of thing, but that's it. Like I'm not someone that sings about Albion all day sort of thing. I'm more focused on Wolves and pro Wolves sort of thing. So yeah, if I had to pick one or the other, it's a really tough choice, and I'm going to get some splinters in my arse, and so I'm going to plead the fifth and not answer it because it is a really hard choice. I mean, like, I remember being at Wembley for the Watford game, and they played the Liquidator, and everyone goes nuts, sort of thing, because it's a bit special, sort of thing for us. Play both.
Great, play both. I will go high silver lining into the Liquidator, because if you want to actually get the crowd on side, if you want them singing from at least minute 1 to minute 3 when the opposition score, the Liquidator will do that all day. Right, let's move on. We've only done a whole hour on a review that was
I told you we'd be here at 12:30.
3 players that we think Wolves should potentially look to move on in January. Obviously, we can go and invest in some homegrown players, and there is some really decent ones out there, but we probably do. We've got an overinflated squad of non-homegrown players that we could move on. I think the first one that probably comes to my mind, the one that I would probably get rid of, would be Hwang, I think. Leah's already laughing at me. I just do. I like what Hwang brought to us a couple of years ago, and I think my problem for it at the moment is I think we spoke about it, I don't think he suits any way of a Rob Edwards style of football. And if you're asking me to be frank, Rob Edwards is definitely here till the end of the season. We could still finish on 2 points, and I think Rob Edwards is here till the end of the season. I think he's got next year. I think the future proofing is there to be seen. They're not that bothered about this season for me, personally. I don't think Hwang brings enough quality. And I think when a player's natural time at a club comes towards an end, you can kind of see it in the way that they play. And don't get me wrong, I really do feel sorry for Hwang, because he's had pelters constantly for a couple of years now. Probably be my player who I think I'd move on.
I think the issue with Wang, if I'm being brutally honest with you, I think he's had there's been a real couple of unfortunate circumstances. If you look at this, is a Champions League footballer before he came to Wolves. Now, I know that doesn't mean so much in other countries, sort of thing. You know, to get into Champions League, obviously the quality of the thing is there. But he terrorised Van Dijk in one game for, was it Salzburg? I think it's something like that. Like, I remember he played really well. But he has very rarely, if ever, been played as a 9 at Wolves. Now, is that because he didn't suit the tactical styles of the managers that were playing him there, and they've tried to force him out on the wing because he's quick? Then probably yes. I think he's done, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I would have took the 20 million that was offered, or the 25 million. I don't understand that one, if I'm being brutally honest with you, why we never took that with Warren, because we don't sell that many shirts. So, and tactically, I don't understand. I don't think it was ever for cover, if you get what I'm saying. But no, I think I feel like his time has came to a natural conclusion, so to speak. I understood the decision to sign him. I thought he was playing very well at the time, and I think he's had a couple of games where he has played well, but I think he needs to be played exclusively through the middle.
Yeah, get him gone.
It's a very short and succinct answer compared to my soliloquy on the subject.
I don't want him on the ball out wide. I don't want him dropping deep. Yeah, I think it's time to go for him yet.
I think it's important that you have obviously mentioned his days when he played really well at Salzburg. I think there is also a reason that when you are playing next to the current best number 9, and probably the future best number 9 in the world for the next 10 years to come, probably did aid him to some degree on the way that he was playing next to Erling Haaland at Salzburg. Liam, have you got a player that you think Wolves should go? I'm just going to give you a free here. If you say Bellegarde, I think Luke's going to jump out at the screen.
Yeah, he's one of them. My next pick, though, for me would be, I feel bad saying it, but I think probably Jose Sarr. And I'm not saying that because I think he's a bad keeper. I just think that if Sam Johnson is your number 1, I don't know if Jose Sarr would just be happy enough just sitting there on the bench. So could it help him and help team morale just to ship him out and save on the wages and get another keeper in just to try and maybe compete with Sam Johnson or be even better than both of them?
I should hope we could get someone better than him.
What about you? What do you think to him?
Who's that?
Whoever, yeah. Do you reckon there's a place where Sarr can go in, Jan?
I think he's probably the one that's, for me, if you're going to sell a keeper, I think you have to keep Sam Johnston purposely because he's homegrown. I think that's the main thing. But I do agree with you. I've always backed Jose Sarr. I think it was that first season I just fell in love with him because he was just an unbelievable shot stopper. But I think
But he's not anymore. If
he's not anymore.
You look at some of the goals that he concedes and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I actually think culture wise he's probably good round the place sort of thing. If you get what I'm saying, I think he probably is one of them sort of keepers. Sorry, but I don't think he has ever been particularly good enough. I think he was a downgrade from Patricio sort of. For me, yes, he has his moments sort of thing, and he does pull off some good saves, but his distribution when we were trying to play that style of football wasn't good enough. I do think he's a good shot stopper, but he's not good enough in that sort of sense. And so I like the bloke from what I've seen of him sort of thing on a personal level. I feel like I'd get on him. And to be fair, it took some guts to get out of the car and have that debate with the fans, if you get what I'm saying. Like I don't doubt that that's an issue with him. But I think that, is he going to want to play in the Championship next year? No. Would Sam Johnson? Well, I don't think anyone else is going to want to sign him to take him away from that. So I think that Sam Johnson would be a good keeper at that level, whereas I don't think Jose Sarr is likely to want to. I think that there has been rumours that Jose Sarr has been close to moves, not this summer, but last, if you get what I'm saying. I think he's still as the second, is he Portugal's starting keeper, or is he the second keeper, or he's in that sort of level. I think that somebody would take him back home, so to speak. So would he free some wages up? Yes. Would he free up a slot? Yes. I still think that you go out and get someone else like Tom King as opposed to. I don't think you're going to bring in anybody that is quote unquote better than Sam Johnson at the moment. Sort of thing. I don't think he's been as good as we hoped he was going to be. And my Albion supporting friends that I've known for a little while pretty much said that at the time. But yeah, I thinking I wouldn't. If they were shipping, I don't think that would be the worst decision.
To be fair, Liam plucked out a cracker last week. Liam said on the podcast about potentially bringing in someone like James Trafford, who's available for a loan. And then, quite simply, about 8 hours later, all of a sudden we were actually linked with a loan move for James Trafford. I think that would probably be the way that I would go.
It's one of the few ways I think you're going to get in a quote unquote better keeper than, if you get what I'm saying, sort of thing. I think you're more likely to see him go back to Burnley, if I'm being brutally honest with you. So.
Look at Dubravka, mate. They don't need him. Dubravka's been their best player.
But I still think that Trafford is an upgrade sort of thing. If he wanted to, so to speak, I don't think you'd turn it down. I would take Trafford at Wolves now, like 100%.
It wouldn't surprise me if you saw James Trafford move to Aston Villa, if I'm being honest, because I could see they're going to get rid of Martinez. He's average, and I could probably see them going for
I don't know if, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive fan of him, and I still remember him being absolutely awful when he played for Wolves, sort of thing. But I don't think the world's #1 keeper, according to FIFA, for the last 2-3 years, could ever quite be described as average. But I think it's a bit like the Strad Larson thing. I think he thought he'd got to move, and I don't think he wants to be there now, if you get what I'm saying, sort of thing. And I think at some point you have to let that player go.
In all fairness, I have never seen a keeper on his arse more times than Emily Martinez. And that's even though he's at Villa, he infuriates. But even when he was at Wolves, the geezer comes out to try and catch any ball, and 100 times out of 100 lands on his arse and cries about it. He's an average keeper at best, and I will die on a hill.
Who would you rather have?
He was like that at Wolves, weren't he?
Yeah,
that's what I mean, man. Sorry,
would you rather have then, in the list of elite keepers in the Premier League, would you rather have Pickford or Martinez?
I'd have Pickford for the vibes, man.
I'd have Pickford.
See, like
Pickford's been all right for the last.
Yeah, but he's always got the decision to do something stupid. And do you ever remember? I think this was at Newcastle away for some reason, because I seem to remember the really high camera angle on it. That he dived to save a shot he got absolutely no right to try and save, because he was never going to get anywhere near it. It hit the post, came back, hit him back, and scored no goal. It's too much about the Jordan Pickford show, which is also easy with Martinez, to be fair. But I think that Martinez is probably the better keeper of the two.
I just don't like him. So, Luke?
It's somewhat unsurprising. I'm probably going to say Tota, if I'm being brutally honest. I just don't think he is up to the level. For me, if you're going to play that free, I want to see Krejci. Do you play Krejci as the centre of the two? The three, I don't know. But then I want to see a combination of Mosquera and Agbadou. Mosquera, Agbadou, Krejci was the one I've wanted to see since the start of the season with that three. I think Bueno's played all right in some of the games that he's played as well. So I think that's your four. Tota shouldn't be in that for me.
Yeah, I could see if there was a world where I think we could get money, I wowould like to see Totting on as well, but I can't see that happening. I can't see
I'll
that
give you
happening.
money to get rid of him. At that point, I mean, the problem I've got is because I sit where I sit in the North Bank is behind that left centre back position. You laser focus. So when Kilman was playing there, because he was the left centre back as well, you see the mistakes that they make. I always remember Tyrone Mings played for Bournemouth against Wolves, and he was Wolves' best player on the day from that left centre back position. For me,
That's why. So the three players that we want Wolves to not want, we think that Wolves could get rid of up to January would be Jose Sarr, Toti Gomez, and Hwang Chan. So lads, we'll obviously do a match preview a little bit later on in the week, but Rob Edwards has got a little bit of time now with the players to kind of figure out what differences he can make and try and get 3 points at Villa Park. Quite a hard game to go into on Sunday. What do you think, Liam, that he could change, whether that be personnel, whether that be system, to try and get the best at Villa?
I like the start that he tried to do. I like that he actually had a bit of a style. I don't know if Tolu would be able to keep up with the intensity of a derby game at the moment with him not being match fit. If he's going for that front two, maybe he would drop out for number 10. I can't see a world where he drops Manetzi just because of how Rob Edwards thinks that he's going to press and Preston win the ball in a derby game. So I think he'll keep Manetzi in there. I think you just need an Arias or a Lopez in there just to create something, because I don't think Wolf and Tachua, I don't back them putting balls in there that are going to cause a bit of an issue. So I'd just hope to see Arias or Lopez in there for anybody really. But I think Tolu might have to just miss this one. I don't know if he's up to speed with it yet. I'm not saying he had a bad game again on Saturday, but I think the Villa's going to be, it's always an end-to-end game, isn't he? I think he'll put Manetzi in there to try and keep up with Villa's energy in midfield, because they seem to be quite a running-based team, don't they? I don't think he'll change the back five. I think Abdou keeps his place. I think he played a lot in that position. I can't see him taking his captain out for the game. I think the only change I probably think he could probably do is Santi Breno comes in. Joe Gomez is suspended, isn't he?
Joe Gomez is going to be suspended for
So
the Villa game.
maybe Krejci can slot into that midfield role, maybe. And Sandy sits off. I think I'd like to see Krejci in there. I don't want to see Bellegarde next to Andre. So I think I'd rather see Krejci in there and have Santi Breno behind him. I don't think Santi Breno's had a bad season, but I think he's been all right. So maybe put Krejci in there if Gomez is missing.
I feel we need Krejci in that situation. If I remember, I think he can carry the ball a bit and he can pass, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I would like to see more of Krejci in that defensive midfield position, because he's been incredible at the centre back. But when he played in that defensive midfield position again against Leeds, he got a goal. Which isn't what you're typically looking for from your defensive midfielders. So I wouldn't be adverse to that. I think that'd be quite astute. Unfortunately, I think that does mean that Toti is going to play, which again I just don't think works for Wolves.
That's fine. Yeah. No, I think I would like to see Krejci. I'd like to move to, just for one game, I'd like to move to the 3-4-3. I'd like to see Arias come back in. I still think there's, despite there's rumours of him wanting to go and whatever, I think there's a world where Fer Lopez could play as that right side number 10 at Villa, and I think Arias could play on the left. Don't think we'll do it, but I think that could be a way that we could. I agree with what Liam says. I don't think Tolu will have the intensity or the nastiness to be in a derby. I think Sean Lawson will at least show a bit of passion, regardless of the way that he has been this year. I think Derby Day could get the backs up for everyone, and I think Fer Lopez, like Luke pointed out earlier, if he could play those creative balls through the lines and try and get Strand Larson actually running on after being a last man striker, running through and then getting shots off from the edge of the box, I'll be okay with that, to be honest. And again, I think with Joe Gomez missing the game, I think it might be, dare I say, a blessing in disguise, because I absolutely love both of the central midfielders. But I think sometimes we have this situation. The same happened with us with Neves and Coutinho, where sometimes they're a bit too samey, and we could do with seeing a bit of a difference. But I still want a defensive stability, because Villa are going to come at us. Villa's whole way of playing is we'll score 4 and you'll score you'll score 3. We're always going to outscore you. We're not that bothered defensively, and I think that's where they shoot themselves sometimes. I'd like to see Krejci, who could quite easily drop in to at centre-back when needed. I also wouldn't technically mind seeing Bellegarde trying to drive through the Villa midfield and trying to drive through the Villa defence. Again, I'll repeat the song. If Tyrone Mings can play for England, so can I. You've got to get him. He's absolutely woeful.
Is he in their team at the minute?
Yeah, I think so.
I'd play Tolu because in all honesty, I think that Tolu would have him the physicality for him as well, sort of thing. I think that we've got to. I don't think the team changes fundamentally, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I don't think the formation changes for me, sort of thing. I think you've got to let that formation have 5 or 6 games to bed before you then sort of think. Now, I know it's not massively dissimilar to what we've already been doing, but when you talk about the wing backs being more involved, sort of thing, which was something that Edwards was sort of quite famous for. He was famous for at Luton, and I think he was doing a lot with Borough as well, potentially being brutalised. But I think that you've got to stick to it for a little bit. So I think that you will see the 3 at the back. I think you see the wing backs. I think you will see the 2 holders with the pressing 10. And so I do think you're going to see Menezes behind the 2 strikers again. But I wouldn't be adverse to seeing a more. I wouldn't be entirely surprised, if I'm being brutally honest, to see Menezes go back to there, which is where he was signed for. He was signed as a defensive midfielder. See Menezes go back into there to play next to Andre, and then you might get your wish to see Arias or Fer Lopez.
Right, lads. Shall we have a quick game before we finish off?
Come on then.
Yay! Really good game now. Yay! I want you to try and give me as many players as you can that have played for both Villa and Wolves. There is 25 of them, and I'm not expecting you to get all of them. But I think you will also be surprised that there's probably a lot more on this list that you know and that have played for us a lot more recently than what you would expect.
Okay.
There's a lot on here that I would like on the top of my head. I would have gone, oh no, he ain't played for him. We could play tenable here. We could play tenable. There generally is at least 10 that I think we could get.
Can I say Rob Edwards?
You can. He's
okay.
number 10 on tenable.
Okay, let's go. So, Rob Edwards, Tony
Check.
Daly,
Check.
Gordon Cowans. It's Gordon something. I can't remember his name. He died last year. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. There was a Gordon there, I think, anyway. Come back to it. Okay, so we had Tony Daly. Yeah?
We had Tony Daly.
Rob Edwards.
Got Rob Edwards.
Emi Martinez.
Emi Martinez is on the list.
Courtney Horse.
Adama Traore, Courtney Horse. Mate, you're going to have to give her 15. Forget tenable here.
How many have we got so far?
Right. Den Donker is also on the list. I think that's 6.
Okay. Cyril Regis played for both teams, I think.
Cyril Regis did play for both teams.
Grant Holt played as well. Did he play for Villa?
Grant Holt is a cracking shout. He has also played for both teams. There's 8.
Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane also played for both Wolves and Villa. That's
Jolie and Lescott.
Jolie and Lescott, we're up to 10.
Can you make a team out? Can you make a team out of that 10 so far?
Yeah, you could as well.
Did Stefan Everson play for Villa? You know when we had Stefan Everson and he...
Don't remember him being at Villa.
He has not, no.
What about Carlton Cole? Has he played for Villa?
Carlton Cole has played for both Wolves and Aston.
Yeah.
Liam Cooper. Throwing them all out here, man.
About Tom Huddleston, because he loaned us about the same time. Has he played for Villa? No.
Tom Huddleston has not, no.
I know thinking, Tommy, every time I start getting to get the thought process, Liam pulls one out.
What Gordon did you say, Luke?
Is it Gordon Cowans?
Yes, he has
There you
played.
go. Oh, there you go. So,
Yeah,
Mr. No, he hasn't.
Paul Birch. Paul Birch has played for both.
David Kelly. That's right. I know that one's right. It's in the podcast. He was on Under the Cosh, so I'm 99% sure I'm right there. Kelly, David Kelly.
Trying to look for a Kelly on the list. There isn't a Kelly on this list.
Is that Foggett? Did he play for Wolves and Villa?
Steve Froggatt played for both.
Has played for both Wolves and Villa.
He's always on the radio talking about playing for Villa and Wolves, ain't he? How many we got left?
Well, I'll give you a clue. There was one person who has been mentioned in this podcast today. Who obviously doesn't play for Wolves now, but he's still active in the Premier League.
Oh, by the way, I've just Wikipedia'd David Kelly. I would have sworn my life he played for the Villa. Absolutely would have.
No,
Hang on.
trying to think of our defenders if there's any.
Word for the teams. Word for the teams. Word for the teams.
So the ones you've got are like Paul Burch, Cotton Cole, Cohen's, Tony Daly, Leander Dendonka, Rob Edwards, Froggatt, Courtney Horse, Gran Holt. There is a current Wolves player that has played for both.
We're going to get pelters for this one.
There is someone who is very
Sam
current.
Johnson.
Sam Johnston plays for both. Has played.
I did not know he'd been at the Villa.
Played in the
That's all.
playoffs with Villa Day against the Albion, and they went to them the year after or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't watch low league football, mate. I don't remember that.
One of them is a goalkeeper.
Mike's there. Oh, Paul Jones.
It's not the one I was
Tim
thinking.
Flower.
Michael
Sorry, Tim.
Michael Oakes. Michael Oakes. He's on there.
Tim Flowers ever played for the Villa?
Tim Flowers is not on the list. I'll tell you what, there's one that you're both missing, and I think it's quite criminal, to be honest.
No.
He's like a journeyman of the EFL, and it's not Grant Holt, but he does play in the same position as Grant Holt.
Hang on. When did he play for Wolves?
He played for Wolves. He's actually played for Wolves, West Brom, and Aston Villa.
Andreas
Weimann.
Andreas Weimann.
Scored a good. Did he get the no-look finish at Anfield?
Yes, he did.
I choose to forget those days where the likes of Andreas Weimann were playing for Wolves, for me, brutally honest with you.
I mean, there's a Moroccan. I've never heard of him.
Hassan Kashlou.
Hassan Kashlou.
So he's a bit before your time, so I don't know.
He was like
2003. He was in the first season we were in the Premier League. He'd been with the Villa and then he came to Wolves. I don't know if he had a gap, but he'd been at the Villa and then he came to Wolves.
I'll get the one more player that I'll get you to go with, and it should give it away quite easy, I think. I'll give it away by his nation. Icelandic.
Oh, John Dudley, but no, Bob Varson didn't play for him. It's Good Johnson. I know who he is. He was a similar sort of time. He was Joey Good Johnson.
Joey Good Johnson. Joey Good Johnson.
Yeah, it's centre midwall or centre half.
So was it Joey Good Johnson the one who was Bjorn Sigurdsson's older half brother or something like that as well?
Yeah, he had some sort of relation to John Danny Bob.
I'm still gutted Bjorn Sigurdsson wasn't the one.
Oh, I know. I love Bjorn Sigurdsson, to be fair. Boys, do you know what? I'll give you credit, man. Do you know what? Props, boys. You did very well with that. There is some names on that list, I can't lie to you. I am, despite being the baldest out of the three of us, seeing as mine's fresh and shaved today, I am the youngest out of the three of us, and there were some names on there that I probably wouldn't have been able to pick out.
Names on that list that we gave you, and you said the word on there, mate, so I think it's quite obvious you couldn't have picked them out.
Don't shoot the messenger, man. I was only reading off a long list. I have enjoyed our podcast, lads. I think we've got a lot of perspective there on not only just Saturday's game, but tactics, players that, you know, some people aren't too fond of. Some people are going to have family arguments with, like me and Rage at some point in the future.
It's good to have different opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone sees football differently, and then that's why it's probably one of the best favourite sports in the world.
And at the end of the day, the common theme here is that we all want the best for Wolves, and just to be honest, we all want 3 points on the table at some point soon, because it's getting a bit tedious now, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Got to come soon.
Honestly, it was the one thing, the salient memory for me from Saturday, because obviously I'm quite close to the away fans, is when they were singing "No Points Again, Ole Ole," and I started singing it with them because I thought it was quite funny. So yeah, hopefully not this week, but I'm just hoping it's not embarrassing at this point.
For people that don't know me personally, my old man is a Villa fan. So you lot, you know, we all have a derby with the Albion, but Villa is not a very nice game in my household. And let's just hope that we absolutely batter the Villa. Can't see you, but let's hope we batter Villa Sunday.
Just be glad you've moved out now, mate. In case
No, I moved. It's been toxic at times at home. Reg, thank you very much for jumping on. Do you want to give people your Twitter handle?
Yeah, I am Reed or something like that. But yeah, thanks for the opportunity to admonish Toti Gomez and give you my thoughts on all things Wolves.
Thank you very much. Right, Liam, thank you again for jumping on, mate.
Right, it's been a good one. Thank you.
We'll be back later in the week with a match preview. If you can do us a favour, please go to our YouTube channel as well as our Spotify. Please like, share, subscribe and share. Thank you very much, boys. I've enjoyed that one, and we will see you shortly.